Jim Hightower is with us. He's a syndicated columnist, activist, and author. Great to see you, Jim.
Great to be with you, David.
So where do we stand right now on corporate personhood? What's the best bet for going back on the legislation? Is it an amendment? Is it a repeal? I mean, where efforts best placed right now?
Well, first of all, people think corporate personhood is a perversion, not only of the Constitution and our democracy, but of nature itself. A person has a navel. Where is the corporate navel? I think that's the question we need to be asking. But this has already become thrust into next year's presidential election since Mitt Romney, standing atop a hay bale at the Iowa State Fair, declared that corporations are people. And the good news is that the American people do not believe that corporations are persons, and they are ready to do what needs to be done to undo this, including a constitutional amendment. And I do support that. There are two great groups, freespeechforpeople.org, a coalition, and another coalition, movetoamend.org. And both of those are organizing all across the country at a grassroots level. They've got good video materials, good organizing tips. They've got toolkits for local people to be engaged in this, to get your local city council, your state representatives to stand up on this issue of corporate personhood. And again, some people say, well, a constitutional amendment, that takes a long time and the odds are against you. Well, they are against us, but we have done this before. And this is the biggest fight, I believe, that we've had perhaps since the American Revolution in terms of establishing democratic possibilities in our country.
Yeah, and Jim, I know you're much more optimistic than I am on this, because when I think about the possibility of campaign finance reform, I think, why would the same politicians that are in power because of the status quo ever want to change it? So again, why would politicians who stand to benefit from receiving these corporate donations ever allow anything to happen that would maybe put at risk that possibility? I don't know.
Well, the thing they have to fear would be the people themselves. There's a poll came out in January, Hart research poll, that found that 87% of Democrats, 82% of independents, and 68% of Republicans want a constitutional amendment to get corporate money out of politics. We don't have to convince the people of this. We have to organize the people and turn them on to those members of Congress who are protecting their own butts, to try to keep getting that corporate money. So no, they're not going to do it on their own. That's why we have to have the We the People campaign, grassroots efforts to get out there and rally public support to insist on this. And that means getting your city council to endorse it, getting your state legislature behind it. We've had to do this in the past. That's what the sane freeze approach was back in the 1970s. Neither party in Washington wanted to freeze nuclear weapons, but it took the people going to the countryside, rallying through their city councils and elsewhere to force them to do that. So we can do it. A friend of mine who's been an activist in the organic movement said to me once, those who say it can't be done should not interrupt those who are doing it.
No, I agree with you completely. The concern I have is, if we look at polls, more than 2/3 of Americans actually, when asked in a fair way, not in a push poll, think that we should have government health care, right? We're not even close to even the possibility of having that anytime soon. So just people wanting it isn't enough, right?
No, absolutely not. And by the way, that's what this Occupy movement is all about. A month ago, who would have thought that this was going to burst out across America? More than 600 communities have an Occupy a group within them. And these folks have already changed the political debate. They are forcing members of Congress and candidates running for president to have to address this issue of corporate money in politics, corporate abuse of working folks, of our environment, of consumers, of the Constitution itself. So, it's not impossible to achieve this because people are on the move. This Occupy movement is on target and on the move. It might put a little bit of movement in the movement.
Hey, Jim Hightower, quick question for you. What are those things behind you? Are those metal statues? We were looking at that before. It's unbelievable what you have going on in your office.
Those are mariachis. They were made from a village down in Mexico, and we snap them up. We've got a lot of Mexican art in our. This is a former Church of the Nazarene that we're in here, and we do have the baptismal pool back behind us there, and I have the preacher's lectern over here to use whenever that's called for. So we enjoy ourselves here. We want to have a little bit of fun as well as and a little bit of art around us as well as doing serious work.
I'll say it's quite the racket down there. Jim Hightower, syndicated columnist, activist, author. Really a pleasure to talk to you today.
To be with you, David.